again, it's me, it's Paul from Barcelona, and behind me is lovely Barcelona Harbor, and I'm here in my office, which is where I do my EMDR sessions. And this week, this is Grief Week. I want to talk about grief, and on Monday I talked about the way in which, for me, the AIDS crisis in the 90s, really took so much away from me. A lot of my innocence was taken away. My healthy evolution into a gay man was hijacked and torn asunder. And I had to really relearn being an adult gay man after many years of keeping my grief secret and hidden. And that is very unhealthy. I don't recommend it, because what we do when our grief is right in front of us and we don't want to deal with it is we want to change our reality. And a lot of us who are gay, we changed our reality by drinking, and so I was drinking far too much, and a lot of that was really tied to my journey in understanding and learning to grieve the reality of being a gay man in a terrible pandemic where nearly half of my cohort died. Today I want to talk about something which is also really important, and I think it's a really big part of the generational issues of Gen X and people who are even coming up with millennials, and that is that a lot of us just didn't kind of get the upbringing that we would have liked, and so in the family unit there would have been a lot of dysfunctionality and unnecessary drama and perhaps alcoholism, addiction, and other types of behavior that were unacceptable. And so I want to call this the grieving of things we didn't get. So Monday is things that we lost. Today is things we didn't get. And a lot of us just didn't get the parents that we need. And I always tell people, we get the parents we get. And I think it's really, really important that we have to say that we have to acknowledge and recognize, what happened, right? What didn't I get that is reasonable and, for lack of a better word, somewhat normal. These are very important elements of the issue. And so when we look at what we didn't get, one of the first things that we have to stop saying is, my parents did the best they could. No, they didn't. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe it was impossible. But for us to say that our parents did the best they could, again, it diminishes our experience. It diminishes our notion that we just didn't get the things that we needed. And that diminishes us. It makes us smaller. It makes us insignificant. It makes us invisible. And this is really a recipe for not healing, right? We always need to say, this happened to me. And that's that's the beauty of EMDR. We get to the nub, the reality, the grittiness, right? We need to get where the rubber meets the road in terms of finding out where these beliefs in our adult lives came from. And the beauty of EMDR is that it happens very quickly. It doesn't take months of talk therapy. I was in talk therapy for 9 months before I had a breakthrough. I remember it very clearly. I started in January, and I had a big breakthrough in October. And I was thinking, wow, that took a long time. And that was once a week. So in EMDR, we have to get to the nitty-gritty element of what happened to me. This happened to me, right? This happened to me. These people were in the room. This was said. This was done. This is the effect it had. This is how I felt. And this is what I came to believe about myself at that time when there was abuse in the room that was unnecessary, uncalled for, unacceptable, intrusive, and where there just was simply an absence of boundaries. And these are real, live, legitimate things. We have a right to boundaries. We have a right to legitimate treatment. We have a right to be treated in a caring way, right? I mean, this is what we agree to as part of sort of the human compact. Nobody agrees to be in an abusive, violent, verbally, sexually, physically violent home, or where there's neglect, right? And so, I had that in my home, and I had to come to some conclusion, to some agreement with myself, to some understanding of what happened to me in order to find forgiveness, in order to find pity for the oppressor, in order to find a way out, right? Notice I say I don't think we need to find meaning. Is there meaning in suffering? Yeah, but I think that's a rabbit hole. The key to EMDR is not to find the meaning. I don't think that's it. The key to EMDR is a brutally practical solution developed by Dr. Shapiro, this wonderful lady who was a psychotherapist in New York City, to really get to the nub of what are the beliefs I picked up in a home where there are many things I didn't get, right? And what are these beliefs that I carry into adulthood? And are these beliefs helpful? Are these beliefs worthwhile? Do these beliefs serve me anymore? And one of the things that's beautiful about EMDR is I see it, right, with my own eyes. I'm not making this up. I see it in when I'm dealing with people, when I'm working with people on this stuff, and the grief of not getting what we needed when we were younger. And there is sadness to it, of course, but the right side, left side stimulation of the brain through hand movement in front of a person 5, 6, 7, 8 times each session, maybe over 3 or 4 sessions, allows the events to become crystal clear. It allows a person, place, and thing to emerge, to create emotion with action, emotion with person, emotion with color. What was I wearing? What was happening? Who was I with? Who was in the room? What color was the room? These are the things that cause the fear to diminish, because something being known, having knowledge of a thing, is reassuring to humans, because it's like when we hear a noise in the middle of the night, we get scared. But when we look out the window, oh, it's just a bird. I can go back to sleep. But if the noise keeps on rubbing against the window or creaking or hitting, we become frightened. And EMDR allows us to sort of open up the window to our mind and to realize, oh, that was what it was, right? And so it really diminishes, a drastic diminishing of the unknown. And we just don't like the unknown. And so when we do this, and we can name person, place, and thing, and we can look at the emotion of what happened during this event with this person, place, and thing, whether it was neglect, or the way that I was treated, or the persistent pattern of a parent, or physical abuse, beatings, or sexual abuse, or the way that a coach treated me, or the way that a swimming coach, or a football coach, or a baseball coach, or a teacher treated me, was unacceptable. There was a breach of boundaries. There was a sense of disrespect. And so then we ask, what are the beliefs here? What are the beliefs going through the head of a 7-year-old, or a 9-year-old, or even a 19 or a 29-year-old woman, right? What's happening at that time that is crystallizing a belief during deep trauma, a deep traumatic event that sort of, gets cemented into the mind. And this is how we live our lives. And so what happens in the events where, right, we didn't get what we needed, right? We feel less than. We feel like we don't count. We feel invisible. That's a really, really big one. Just leave me alone. I'm invisible. And that's the way I felt. That was my deal. I felt invisible. And when we feel invisible, guess what we do? We do things to make ourselves invisible. And the way that I made myself invisible was through drinking, right? It was magical drinking to make myself disappear. It's crazy, right? When we think about it. But that's what I did because I had such low self-esteem, low self-confidence, because there just wasn't enough, respective boundaries and love or affection in my family. My parents were very damaged from war, and they both had terrible PTSD when I think about it. So many people were affected, not only in World War II, but also throughout the Cold War. The Cold War was very, very vicious. Millions of people died, and entire regions of the world were torn asunder. Southeast Asia, Africa, Central America, South America, and Eastern Europe were just torn up, right? And terrible things happened. And so in understanding the events, naming the events, EMDR allows us to do that. I promise you, in a calm way, remarkably calm. People just do this in a much more calm way than I've seen people do that, either in group therapy or in one-on-one. It's really remarkable, and especially if you do, alternate shoulder tapping or knee tapping, where there's ways to just calm down the body. And once these beliefs show up, right? Once these beliefs show up, again, we say to them, yes, you did not get this. You are grieving a loss of what you did not get. And when we grieve the loss of what we did not get, we can understand what the beliefs are that are associated with that. And those beliefs are an association of less than, invisible, nobody cares. My needs aren't going to be met anyway, so don't ask. Don't ask because you're not going to get it, right? And so we come to expect to believe that good things can't happen to us. We come to believe that promotions can't happen. We come to believe that asking for a raise is silly because we somehow, don't matter. These are all the things that, we have to shift. And then, what happens in EMDR is you ask, well, hold on a second here. You're sitting in front of me as a fairly successful person who is completely capable of taking care of themselves, who has overcome everything that we just talked about and has in some ways thrived and who deserves better. Don't you? Do you not? Do you believe this? Do you believe this is possible? Do you believe that there's an alternative beliefs around that make more sense for you, right? This is not planting or hypnotizing. This has got nothing to do with it. A person in EMDR is in a complete conscious state, but it is basically saying, what could you believe? What do you believe? Knowing now, right? Knowing now what you know, and looking back at what happened to you then, do you believe that the beliefs that you developed were wrong or inappropriate or don't match? And 99 times out of 100, the person says, oh my gosh, yeah, that makes an awful lot of sense. And so these are when you can say, okay, well, in what kind of alternative beliefs do you think could replace those? What do you think is a more appropriate structure that stands more true to what I'm seeing in front of me now compared to then? The critically important thing here, which is truly remarkable, is people realize, oh my God, I've had these same beliefs in my mind that I didn't even know I had since I was 18, 28. And it's like, oh my God, I am sitting around with beliefs that are stale, stagnant, don't work for me anymore, have stopped working. And by the way, when things stop working, we have to get something else that now works. And that is the reality that is unlocked in EMDR, and that is the grieving of things we didn't get. So more on this later on. Once again, please leave a note if you want to get a copy of the audiobook on EMDR, or else, the book was created as a PowerPoint structure to make it super simple and easy. And please just leave a note, drop a note below, and I will promise you I'll send you whatever you want, the PowerPoint structure or the audiobook. So have a great day. So this is Paul signing off from Barcelona, and I promise you we are designed to heal. I see it all the time. We are designed to heal. Happy day.